Hi, I'm Jack, and welcome back, because today I'm going to give you guys a review for the very first Star Wars movie that has been released in theaters since... Wait, let me check real quick. Oh, this came out back in 2019. What the heck?
What the
This is the first official Star Wars movie to have been released in theaters since The Rise of Skywalker, and this movie is none other than The Mandalorian and Grogu, directed by Jon Favreau and starring Pedro Pascal, Jeremy Allen White, Sigourney Weaver, Steve Blum, and among many others.
And the Oscar goes to Martin Scorsese.
This movie follows Din Djarin and Grogu as they make their way across the galaxy, as they hunt down Imperial warlords and work alongside the New Republic as they go on a mission that involves Rada the Hutt. Over the years, I have been anxiously waiting for a new Star Wars movie to hit the big screen because it is something I enjoy. I love this franchise. I'm excited whenever a new Star Wars movie comes out. And The Mandalorian is a show that I really like, even if I wasn't the biggest fan of Season 3. So over the last couple years, I have been curious to see why they were making The Mandalorian's future story into a movie rather than do a direct Season 4. So ever since then, I have been curious to see what they have in store for this movie. And having now seen it,
I mean, it's alright,
it pretty much reaches where my expectations were at, to where I wasn't quite wowed by the overall movie. It doesn't do anything that I haven't seen the show done, and in some ways better. But in the end, I do think that as an individual Mandalorian story, I did get more out of this than the third season of the show, even if it doesn't quite reach the levels of quality that seasons 1 and 2 reached. The positives I have with this movie is that it is entertaining. It is not one of my favorite Star Wars movies, nor is it one of my favorite adventures I have seen with these characters, but on its own, there are some entertainment to be had. I really enjoyed the first half of this movie, where we kick things off. I think it has a strong opening sequence, and it builds into a fairly solid first half hour of the movie, with the Mandalorian going to this planet to go on this mission, which I thought was entertaining, sees a different side of Star Wars, and explores a very unique setting that I thought was one of the best locations this movie has to offer. And so as seeing what does Din Djarin and Grogu do as they're on this mission, and so as the trouble they find themselves in. The music pops off. Ludwig Göransson returns to The Mandalorian to score the music for the first time since Season 2, and he absolutely cooks with the music. Not a single missed beat from him. He is one of our greatest composers today, with movies like Oppenheimer, Sinners, Black Panther, and soon the upcoming The Odyssey, and he absolutely delivers one of the best parts about The Mandalorian and Grogu, that being the music. The movie has some solid action sequences, including the AT-AT in the snow, the opening, the gladiator arena with Din Djarin and Rada the Hutt. Speaking of that, Rada the Hutt, I thought, is one of the best characters in this movie. I enjoy Jeremy Allen White in the role. He has a neat little story idea that I wish the movie touches upon more, about him not wanting to be like his father, Jabba the Hutt. But what we do get of that is some of the best stuff the movie has to offer. Grogu, yet again, is a scene stealer in this movie. Grogu's cuteness and humorous elements are all on display here, and I would say at times it works well. I enjoy Grogu, and even though I wish Grogu has more of a narrative purpose, I do enjoy some of the cute, quirky scenes with Grogu, especially just the quirky nature of Star Wars as a whole. There are some funny scenes here that got a chuckle out of me, especially when it comes to characters like Zeb, who I love from Star Wars Rebels. There are some enjoyable moments. The puppetry with the aliens are very cool. I loved all the creature designs in this movie that they have to offer. All that's done very well. And it's a fun adventure at points, but it does bring me to one of my big issues with the movie, that being the structure. It very much is structured like 3 to 4 episodes of the show mashed together as one movie. And as I watched it, there are some parts of it I enjoyed more than others. As I mentioned, I enjoyed the first half of this movie more than the second half of it. And on top of that, the pacing is really strange. At times it feels like we're moving so quick. And then at other times it feels like we're lulling for quite a while, to where you're just waiting for something to kick in, for sequences to take place. And it leaves me puzzled as to why they went in this direction to make a movie rather than do a direct season 4, considering this structure works very well as a show. The story of this movie is fine, but it's nothing that really pushes the boundaries for Star Wars, which, sure, I love when Star Wars movies feel like events, and this one feels more episodic than epic. But at the same time, I have seen the Mandalorian characters be pushed forward in ways that I wish the movie did, with Grogu maybe having to be off on his own, Din Djarin in his newfound status working with the New Republic. I wish that it does more than do the same stuff the show had already done before. And I wish it did that. I love when a new Star Wars movie comes out and it offers this brand new wave of something new in a galaxy far, far away with a franchise as expansive as Star Wars. But this is the first Star Wars movie in a very long time where I felt like I have seen this very thing before. Not in the way people compare The Force Awakens to A New Hope, but rather I've seen adventures like this before in the show that are done way better, and I wish the movie decides to do something new for Din Djarin and Grogu that the show hasn't already touched upon to justify them making a full-length movie off of these characters rather than continue the story in a traditional season 4. I imagine that for those who've never watched The Mandalorian show will find enjoyment in this movie because this very much is something new for the big screen in that front. Whereas for me, as someone who's seen all 3 seasons of the show, this just felt like a 2-hour extended episode of the show rather than being a story that is structured like a movie with a beginning, middle, end. Because I can see as I watch it where the lines blur between an episode wrapping up and an episode starting. And don't get me wrong, I still found enjoyment out of this movie. I do think it is a perfectly watchable movie unto itself, but I do wish that a Star Wars movie in today's day and age finds a way to recapture that magic of going to a galaxy far, far away on a bigger scale, something like when A New Hope first came out, or The Phantom Menace in 1999, or especially The Force Awakens back in 2015. Here, it's fine. It's better than season 3 of The Mandalorian, but I still feel like it falls short of the quality that The Mandalorian has been able to reach within the first 2 seasons of the show. While not the worst Star Wars movie, it's unfortunately the least interesting one from a visual standpoint. Even some of my other least favorite Star Wars movies look very good for a movie of their time, or in general on a technical scale, and this movie blurs the line between being very good for a movie of its kind, and so as at times looking like an episode of a Disney Plus Star Wars show, where some Star Wars shows visually look less interesting compared to others. In conclusion, The Mandalorian and Grogu was okay. Not this grand slam return to the galaxy far, far away. Certainly not one of my favorite Star Wars movies, but certainly not my least favorite either. As someone that enjoys The Mandalorian show, it's an enjoyable enough adventure with 2 characters I really like. And although I wish we had a Star Wars movie that's a bit more grander and more epic in scope, and this one is certainly much more smaller scale than that, it's a movie that I had some enjoyment with, even if I'm still wishing they did another season and it had a much more exciting adventure than what the movie presented. So in the end, I'm going to give The Mandalorian and Grogu a B-. As far as Star Wars movies go, I would rank this above The Rise of Skywalker, although around the same camp or underneath Attack of the Clones. So not one of my favorite Star Wars movies, but nevertheless, I'm curious to see what the future of Star Wars has in store for The Mandalorian, and so as the fact that I do hope that we get to see something bigger for Star Wars, including Sean Levy's Star Wars Starfighter with Ryan Gosling next year.
This is the way.
Those are my thoughts on The Mandalorian and Grogu. Don't forget to let me know down below in the comments, what are your thoughts on this movie? I would love to know that. Don't forget to hit that like button and the subscribe button, and stay tuned for more.